What is going on, you guys? Welcome to the High Def Perspective, a podcast where we embark on the transformative odyssey of healing, spiritual awakenings, and collective consciousness. I am your guide on this transformative journey, Debonair Mathis. This is episode 3. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. That wasn't supposed to rhyme, but I love the fact that it did. You can't make this shit up. It's been less than 10 days since Pluto has shifted into Aquarius. And I am experiencing all of it. For those who aren't aware of Pluto, Pluto is a planet of transformation, ego death, and rebirth. And I mentioned this in my last episode, in episode 2. It's a shape shifter. It's I'm gonna call it a direct planet at this point, because the way that it's set up, it has literally pulled roots that haven't really been touched. And I would love to share this with you, what I'm experiencing. So for those who are not aware of the, I'd say, essential benefits, I guess, of Pluto, it's a major shift planet. Like I said, it's a direct planet because it's going to have you in your feelings and some more shit. It causes major shifts in someone's life. And like I mentioned before in episode 2, some of the shifts could be, a career change, evaluating long-term goals, or experiencing trauma that has come up from the surface. What I'm experiencing is the trauma that is now bottling up to the surface. This healing journey is probably one of the most transformative things that I have ever done for myself. However, it wasn't easy, because when it comes to this healing journey, you do have to bring up and revisit the past. And I would say essentially change its narrative, if you will, to move forward or to heal and to transcend into what and who you're supposed to be. As a result of this, I have healed the issues with, the daddy issues that I had. I have made amends with my father. We are now on great terms. I have put myself in therapy to not only help heal past versions of myself, but to gain the acceptance of my mother's passing. And essentially, I've gained the acceptance and the awareness of myself and my intuitive and spiritual abilities. So as far as, within the past 10 days, what I had been experiencing was blockages. I had experienced a strong blockage within my throat chakra and in my heart chakra. For those who aren't aware of it, I am on the twin flame journey. And essentially, to make a long story short, because this is a whole a whole episode on its own, the twin flame journey essentially is a high spiritual connection between two people. And it could be relationship, it could be friendship, platonic. In my case, I received both aspects of it. I received it through relations. I received it through a relationship, or a connection, if you will, because we weren't together. I received it through a connection, and I received it through friendships, platonic friendships. This high spiritual connection will trigger the deepest, most vulnerable parts of yourself. And because you are in these high level connections, you don't have any other choice but to face it head on. As an end result of this twin flame journey, one of the most valuable lessons that I received through it all was the connection and love for myself. Something that I longed for and that I was, if you will, not aware of because I was so consumed seeking the love and the attention through other people. When in reality, what this journey taught me was the love that I needed and longed the most was the love for myself. So I'm happy to say that I'm in a divine union with myself, and I'm grateful for that. I'm actually really, really happy. This connection it's unbreakable. Once you get to this level, it's very, you feel complete, as far as one with self. I want to unpack what love means to me. Throughout this journey, I have definitely shifted my perception and definition of what love is. Love is probably one of the highest forms of frequency that there is. Love has granted me the ability to step into my worthiness, my confidence, my power. Before I entered the twin flame journey, I want to let you know that my definition of love then was from a place of unhealed trauma, on past wounds. So, which makes sense as to why none of the dating experiences that I had ever worked out or the connections that I had made just kind of dismantled. I realized that I was operating from a place of unhealed trauma and an unhealed version of myself. After enduring this twin flame journey, I came out on the other end with this strong sense of awareness and this strong sense of confidence and this strong sense of, again, love for myself, right? So that's great and all. However, as I'm, moving and operating throughout my day to day, I'm experiencing, every now and then a blockage within my throat, a blockage within my heart. And prior, I thought that everything was all aligned, as far as my chakras. I would experience this blockage from time to time. As soon as Pluto, merged into, I guess, what we call the age of Aquarius, that blockage that I experienced was permanent. It was a constant feeling that I had. And so, this last week I I had to sit with self. I think in a way I called it like a mild dark night of the soul because I was experiencing a lot of emotions and feelings and I couldn't figure out where they were coming from. I wasn't in a space I could not figure out where they were coming from. And so I sat and I prayed, I meditated, I talked with God. I asked God, I said, God, please help me understand where this blockage is coming from. Like, why am I experiencing this? I thought that, I was done with this feeling and that I was entering what we call, my highest timeline, if you will, with no worries and just nothing but peace and creativity. And it was in that moment that I got my answer. It's one thing to come out to the world as a black male who happens to be gay. It's more of a twist when you are now a black male who happens to be gay and living with HIV. This is something that I had suppressed and put at the very, 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 very bottom. Let's say we've got a planter. I put it at the very, very, very bottom, right? It was something that I was just like, you know what? I got it. It is what it is. I'm gonna just keep moving forward. I'm gonna just keep moving forward. But that wasn't a way for me to accept it. That wasn't a way for me to heal from it. And I guess you can say I didn't want to address it because I was in a space where I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I felt guilty. I I felt powerless. I felt as though that I would never ever see love. That's it. That's that this is the end all for me. And so what God had told me in that moment was, Debonair, you're doing all this work and you're in the space of healing and you do love yourself, and you are indeed in this divine union with yourself, but you're missing something. You're missing. There's a huge part of you that you have to bring onto this journey with you. Ooh. Oh shit. um that you have to bring on this journey with you if you're going to really, really, step into your pure authentic self. I remember I was just like, ah, shit, this is it. This is it. And like what I'm going to be very honest and transparent with you. There weren't my community and my background when it comes to, real heavy hitter shit like this. These are things that like we don't talk about in the community. These are the things that we suppress. And what happens when you suppress? You're covering it up, but the truth will reveal itself. What I'm realizing is all the work that I've done within this past couple of years, with this personal development and healing journey has equipped me to being in a space to finally have this conversation and to finally address and face this situation at hand. And I'm realizing that now because I was just like, if I were to, it was one thing when I came out last year, it was one thing, right? I mean, I still remember how I felt like it was a breath of fresh air and I felt free, and that I did, and that I am. And so I started to go about my day, and I was just like, well, I mean, Dev, yeah, you finally came out to the world, but there's more to you. And I guess what I was doing in that moment was I just wasn't in the space to address it. And that's just what it was. I just wasn't in a space to address it. I was healing, but I wasn't in a space of like, I was entering my power. Whereas now I'm in a space where I have stepped in my power, and I am owning my power, and I'm owning my truth. I thank God in this moment to allow me to identify all versions of me and allow me to walk and then step in with all that I come with. I now take that guilt and that shame and that embarrassment, and I alchemize it by transmuting it into forgiveness of myself, forgiveness of the that past version, and have compassion. I'm now in a space where I've noticed that I've only mentioned my journey when, at 2017, when I have been living with HIV since 2016. And essentially, I mean, yeah, my story started when I was born, but the actual journey of, self-development and where I needed to be healing was in 2016. And I'm just thankful. And this is something, like I said, I had to go back to the past, revisit, relive, re-experience what that felt like, because like I said, I came from a low vibrational place, and I'm walking, me walking into my power. I kept that part of me in a low vibrational place. And that's just not how this is going to work in order for me to fully step into my power and really be reborn. I'm happy to say that I am living a happy, healthy, and abundant life. I have been living a undetectable, untransmittable status for the past 8 years. Truth be told, I don't think I've ever let this get to me. I say that to say, when I received the results back in 2016, I remember the moment that it said positive, and I said, "All right, so I got two options. I can fight, or I can flight. Like, let this be the end all." And there was no question about it. With this experience, I literally told myself, "I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight." And I think the version that I had in my mind was, "I'm going to fight, but I'm going to fight and I'm just not going to tell anybody." That's just what it was. Aside from, my partners, and that's what I did. You know, I did it. I did it exactly that way. But now I'm in this place. This place, healing is such an important thing for me and my journey, and it's important that I be fully authentic, not only to you guys but myself. Because at the end of the day, this is really, I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing this for anybody else. I'm doing this for me and my testimony and my journey. I'm extremely passionate about mental health. I am extremely passionate about faith. And I'm extremely passionate about healing. And so I wanted to show you guys what healing actually does and how it can move and really essentially change the narrative of what you thought was hindering you, but you can alchemize that and bring that, to the forefront and allow that to be essentially a gift, a superpower of yours. This whole world is based off of polarity. Remember, I talk about this a lot. The whole world is based off of polarity. And essentially, polarity is a yin and a yang. And if you've seen the logo or the image of a yin and a yang, it's black and white with a small white within the black and a small white black within the white. That's polarity. You know what I'm saying? So I say that, what am I getting at when I say this? I had to, when you allow yourself to heal and you step into these dark points in your life, if you allow yourself to be a victim of it, it essentially will stunt your growth. And that's what I'm realizing as I was stepping back into my past and having to change the narrative. I think the first example was with my dad, because I had created this narrative in my head of why our relationship wasn't, like everybody else's, like every, average boy who had their father in their life. But having an understanding of where he was coming from completely changed the narrative. And in my mind, I remember when we did have that conversation, I was just like, damn, this whole time I'm out here creating this narrative that this is the reason why he didn't want to be in my life when it was a completely different thing. And so when I did that, essentially that was me alchemizing. So I thought, okay, if I can do that with the absence of my father within my life, I can do that in all aspects of my life. And that I did. And it wasn't until, like I said, when I received my HIV status back in 2016, that was just something I was just like, I'm going to put this bitch to the back. I'm going to put this to the far, 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 far back. I'm not even going to think about this. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are out here living healthy lives and some more shit. I'm going to just keep it pushing. And that's just going to be something that I'm going to, share with whoever I'm with. And that's just going to be between, him and I. Creating that narrative lasted quite a long time, 8 years. However, where I'm at in the journey, that shit has really been fucking me up because I'm I'm walking out here and I'm educating and I'm stepping into my power and I'm stepping into my truth, but it's just not fair because I feel like I'm doing a dishonest service to myself walking around, and I didn't want to call it a lie. It was just something that I kept to myself. But because I take healing and mental health very serious, again, it was important that I was very transparent, not only with myself, but to you guys regarding this situation. As the end result, I would definitely say in this moment that I have definitely cleared up the blockage within my throat chakra. I foreshadowed in my introductory episode that this podcast would be a podcast where we have these difficult conversations. However, I wanted this show to be a safe space to allow for these conversations to essentially be had. I feel my heart chakra opening up as well. I do. I do. I feel lighter. I felt as though in those moments that my blockages were happening, I had, um, put it to you like this. Prior to me entering the twin flame journey, I had this outlook on love. I love love. I genuinely love love. I was loving love from an unhealed place. And so as I was going through this journey, I started to really understand what love looked like. And it was very triggering. And it got to a point where it kind of I was on the defense on it. And I had to understand why. And because I felt that I was on the defense, that blockage, and that's just what it was. It was that one last root. It was that last root. And now that I'm in a space of, pure transparency and pure light and pure unconditional love to myself, I now see and I can feel it right now in this very moment that my heart space is very much so open. And I do feel as though I can be in a space to receive love. Wow. 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 Yeah, I definitely feel that. It's opening up. I feel pure. It's intentional. Before we wrap up today's episode, I wanted to add a segment to the show. And Zenful Note was kind enough to send me a game, which is called the Conversations with Inner Self. Essentially, how you play it is it's two parts. There is part one, which is identifying your traumas and triggers, and part two is the integration between your trauma and your triggers, and allowing yourself to essentially embrace them and grow from them. It's nice too because they're both black and white, which is essentially like the yin and yang, the polarity that I'm always talking about. You can't make this up. However, I wanted to go ahead and draw a card from each part and essentially just kind of be a little bit more vulnerable and express what I've been experiencing throughout my journey. So I'm going to go ahead and do part one, which is the identifying. So let me go ahead and draw a card. I should do it like tarot. Yeah, I'm going to do it like tarot. There it is. Oh, we got two, but I'm going to do this one right here. Oh, okay. So the color of blank. What color is your sadness and why? I would have to say when I am sad, hopefully you can see this, but I see the rainbow, but instead of the rainbow rising up, I see it kind of melting down. I see it melting down. And the reason why I see it melting down is essentially the rainbow is majority of all the colors in our chakras, from our crown chakra out to our root chakra. And when they melt in my mind, that is, coming from a place of low vibration, because when you're sad, you're operating from a low place. Therefore, when you are happy, it rises up and it does create that rainbow. So, yeah, I would have to say all of the colors: purple, orange, yellow, green, blue, red. I said purple already? Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. You know what? I feel called to do one more when it comes to part one, identifying. That was cute and all, but like I'm down to like really address some shit. So I'm gonna pick one more. Okay. All right. So let's oh, okay. Bam. Holding on. What are you holding on to that still hurts you deeply? I think I just released it, but it was, yeah, essentially my experience living with HIV. Because I am in a space of letting go and releasing. Hence, why I'm wearing 999, an angel number necklace. I'm in this space of letting go and releasing. I felt as though in order for me to elevate and evolve into this person and this version, this high version that I'm supposed to be in, I have to make amends with this and I have to accept it for what it is and not let it affect me and, take over. As you start to heal, you elevate essentially, right? So there's nothing weighing you down. However, in my mind, I still had this in the back of my mind. And I'm just like, well, if I'm going to do this and have these kind of conversations, I got to be in a space where I have to release this. So, okay, so let's go ahead and do, I'll do, fuck it. I did two from the black, the identifying. So I'm going to go ahead and just do two from integrating. But moving forward, I'm only going to do one. All right. Ooh, that one flew out. Okay, hold on. Ooh, childhood memory. Think back to a time you felt hurt as a child. Imagine you could speak to your child self at that moment. What would you say? I think for the longest, I felt I wasn't heard. And because I was a very sensitive child growing up and labeled like the crybaby and things like that, I wasn't in a space where I was able to embrace my feelings. So if there was anything that I could tell my child self in that moment is you are heard. You are heard. There were these times where like I don't want to say I had tantrums, but I would blow up because I'm holding on to the times that not you, but like I wasn't in a space to be heard. Whether it be through family, school, friends, whatever the case may be. It was hard because I mean, you got this little ass gay boy. I ain't gonna lie, I was a little feminine ass little, I was a cute little thing. my brother my brother said that I was very unique. I was a very unique young child. I was very expressive, I was very creative, and um I was very loud, I was very energetic, I was very fun. But I remember the times when I did have, something that was on my mind, I was told to, like, that's not how a man is supposed to, uh, a man's not supposed to cry, or, you know, a man doesn't show emotions. So I would tell my young self that you are heard, and it is okay to cry, and it is okay to express those emotions, because it's okay to be your authentic self. Okay, we're gonna do one more. Okay, so this says feeling freedom. Think about feeling completely free. What images or memories come to mind? Lots of colors as far as expressing myself through my wardrobe. A lot of music, just dancing. I love dancing. Movement. I mean, yeah, that's dancing, Dev. That's dancing. Um, and I guess I would just have to say laughter, because I just enjoy laughing. I genuinely enjoy just I I enjoy putting smiles on people's faces just as much as I love receiving smiles upon my face. So yeah, that's that. If you guys are interested in purchasing this deck, Conversations with Your Inner Self, for those who are listening to this on my podcast, I will go ahead and put the link in the description of my episode, if you want to go ahead and take a glance at that. And if you guys are watching this on my YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the description down below. I think this is a really good deck. For me, it's a beautiful way to step into healing and doing some of the work on your own. I do think that it's a great game to have with maybe like a significant other, if you want to just kind of explore. Like I said, they do say you might want to play this by yourself. So it depends on where you're at along your journey. For me, I'm very open, so I would love to have this kind of be a game where we could essentially just kind of be vulnerable with one another. That's going to wrap up today's episode. I do want to thank you for being in a space to receive my truth and allowing me to be vulnerable with you guys. At the end of the day, only God can judge me, and I am in a space where I have done nothing but surrender. And I know that this was something that I was supposed to do, essentially for myself to, I don't know, all I see is elevate at this point. I just see elevate, and I can finally open up this door. So I again want to thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider subscribing or following me on your favorite podcast platform. It really does help me. And please leave a review. I am now on YouTube. So please like, follow, and subscribe. I don't know how to do the little thing yet. There's this whole little spiel that they got. But anywho, yeah, a bitch is on YouTube. So please like, follow, and subscribe on there. And that is at the High Dev, the High Dev Perspective. You can reach out to me on social media. My Instagram handle is the High Dev Perspective, or you can hit me up on my personal, which is Devonair Mathis. Shoot me a question if you got any kind of a question that you want me to ask on the show, or answer on the show. I will do so. Feel free to shoot me an email, and the email is thehighDevPerspective@gmail.com. Okay, I'm learning this. Like, I got the whole outro script down packed. And yeah, shoot me a message, and I might feature your question on the next episode. Hold on, let's just take a moment to just inhale and exhale for a second, okay? So let's inhale. Inhale for 5. Hold. Exhale for 7. Wow. Thank you again for being a part of the High Dev Perspective. I wish you nothing but health, wealth, and prosperity along your journey. It's going to be a rocky one, but just understand that you are not alone. I need you to understand that you are not alone because, bitch, I'm going through it with you, and I'm experiencing it just like you are. I think the only difference is I'm loud and out and proud and some old shit with it. All right, you guys. I will see you guys next time. Bye.